Hi, Cool Endings here. I have eaten a whole food plant-based diet for roughly the past 8 years, but I still eat turkey on Thanksgiving. I follow Doctors Caldwell Esselstyn, T. Colin Campbell, John McDougall, Sunil Pai, Michael Greger, and Alan Goldhammer. I first heard about these guys back when I was in college, around 2012, when I was watching Netflix and saw Forks Over Knives for the first time. Netflix used to be actually a really good streaming service. They used to have all the Woody Allen movies, all the Danny DeVito movies. Like, they had content that you actually wanted to see. Now it's not even worth having. I've already gotten rid of it. But for the past couple of years, I've been incorporating an inch of fresh turmeric and ginger into almost all my recipes. And I normally stick with a few basic spices: garlic and onion powder, smoked paprika, black pepper, nutritional yeast. For the past week, I wanted to experiment with Indian cuisine, so I bought a handful of new spices to try, all supposedly safe if used in culinary amounts: cumin seed, coriander seed, celery seed, mustard seed, and fenugreek. Each of these spices can lead to abdominal cramps, digestive issues, and cause unsafe drops in blood pressure and blood sugar if taken in medicinal amounts or combined with medication. So I made sure to use less than a tablespoon of each, and I batch cooked a couple different recipes containing multiple servings. I toasted the spices just as I observed many chefs on YouTube doing the same, and continued to incorporate them whole into a stir-fry dish and ground into a separate potato curry recipe. I ate both of these recipes for lunch and dinner over the course of the next 5 days. Each day, I started to feel progressively worse, and I began to think that there was something severely wrong with my body. Around the second or third night, I caught the chills and was shivering uncontrollably like I had the flu. Periodically throughout each day, my hands would suddenly flood with sweat, my heart began beating irregularly, and my mind raced chaotic and fearful as my breath became labored. I was unable to calm myself down, which was a rare occurrence. I would be forced to sit with my heart pounding against my chest, and although I could still breathe relatively normally, it felt like I just couldn't get enough oxygen. I was unable to catch my breath. I thought I was having a panic attack or a midlife crisis, or probably both. I thought it could have been caused by my vaping habit, and I was scared I had caused some type of permanent damage. I completely cut out vaping to get to the root of my malady, but sure enough, I began feeling the same symptoms after eating the Indian stir-fry dish for lunch the next day. My body was suddenly out of my control, and I no longer felt safe tackling this problem on my own. So I drove myself to an urgent care express. It had been close to 6 years since I'd last ventured to the doctor's office, and I've tried to stay away from westernized medicine as much as possible. My primary caregiver is my dentist, whom I see every 6 months, and I let my plant-based diet take care of the rest. I quit paying for health insurance after throwing more than $10,000 down the drain and never attending a single checkup. I figured I was better off placing my money into a separate savings account solely for medical expenses and let the money ride in the market while I'm not using it, instead of just throwing it away. Why should I give all my money to the insurance companies? Shouldn't I be reimbursed when I don't use it? Instead, they just take it. Even more insulting is when these companies make me pay even more for using tobacco products. All while I'm watching my colleagues shoveling burgers, fries, and sodas, as many as they can, down their gullets, and they're not getting charged a penny extra. Why am I footing the bill for these people who have to see the doctor all the time, and I'm barely seeing the doctor at all, and I'm even charged extra just because of a tobacco habit? Why aren't they getting charged extra for every fucking burger they put down their gullets? It didn't make sense to me. So I paid the urgent care bill up front, which was discounted to $200. Thank you. and I sat in the waiting room shivering. I described my symptoms to the nurse and thought it could be anything from panic attacks to an internal infection. The nurse took my weight, my vital signs, 5'10", 140 pounds, 97-degree temperature, 120/80 blood pressure. Nothing appeared out of the normal range. The doctor came in and listened to my heart with his stethoscope, listened to my lungs, asked if I had been diagnosed with any anxiety disorders in the past. I told him that I had never been formally diagnosed with anything and was not interested in receiving any anti-anxiety meds. The overweight doctor, in his mid-30s, looked a bit disappointed that my problems wouldn't be so easily solved. I told the doctor to assume that I knew exactly what anxiety felt like, and for him to rack his brain to think of any possible cause for my current symptoms. Any other possible cause. He asked me if I had done anything in the past week that was different, and the only thing I could think of was my Indian cuisine. The doctor told me he had never heard of those symptoms being associated with those spices before, but he simply suggested the process of elimination. I made sure to ask the doctor, should I fear passing out when my breathing becomes labored? And he told me I'd have to be hyperventilating pretty good before I risked passing out. So I drove myself home. I looked up the side effects for each of the 5 new spices I had chosen to incorporate in my Indian dishes, yet only found one that specified asthmatic-like symptoms: Fenugreek. The only thing I had ever heard about Fenugreek was that it had a sweet taste and could make your sweat smell like maple syrup. I figured I'd give that a try and consider replacing my deodorant. I'm disappointed in Dr. Sunil Pai and Dr. Greger for harping on the benefits of Fenugreek while completely ignoring the potential side effects. I never heard anything about the potential side effects on nutrition.com or nutrition.org, whatever Michael Greger's thing is. And Sunil Pai, he talks about spices all the time. He hardly ever talks about the adverse side effects. When I looked up Fenugreek for myself, I was surprised to find that it can cause abdominal pain, diarrhea, fatigue due to low blood sugar, fainting due to low blood pressure, rash, loose and watery stool, and wheezing. Wheezing. I mean, you've got to be fucking kidding me. I had 6 out of the 7 symptoms. Almost a perfect score. I felt relieved that I had discovered what was wrong with me and spent the next 2 days continuing to suffer less intense attacks as the remainder of my week-long voluntary poisoning slowly worked its way out of my system in the form of diarrhea. I ended up losing like 10 pounds. I went from 140 to 130 a few days later. After staying away from the spices completely and shoveling down steel-cut oats and potato soup for the last 8 days, that's right, as soon as I went to see that doctor, I stopped eating the spices. I stopped eating the recipes I had made. It took 8 full days until I felt normal again. I threw away the Fenugreek, and I'm in no rush to add any more foreign spices to my daily repertoire. It's just not worth it. Maybe it was the Fenugreek alone. Maybe it was a combination of the spices. Maybe my consistent use of fresh ginger and turmeric had already lowered my blood pressure and blood sugar equivalent to taking medication. I don't know, and I don't care. I just never want to feel like that again. It was the worst. I was unaware of the risks involved when experimenting with traditional spices, and I don't wish to experiment anymore. Before doing my own extensive research, at least, I do find it inspiring that what you put in your body has a direct effect on your blood pressure, your blood sugar, mental state, and breathing ability. But that should be a sign to each and every one of you struggling with depression, anxiety, hypertension, obesity, diabetes, that you don't need pills from a doctor to fix your problems. It's the food, stupid. My final thoughts. One thing I've learned while tripping, everything stems from the gut. What you put in is what you get out. It affects every aspect of your mood, your health, your stamina, your resistance to disease, cancer, creativity, your outlook on life. All stems from what you put in your body. If you treat your body like garbage, then you're going to feel like garbage. We all know what to do. More fruits, more vegetables, and less of everything else. It's not rocket science, but for most people, it's just as difficult to understand. Thank you. Have a good day.